Hello, hello, and welcome to all of you beautiful soul sisters. Thank you for joining me here today on the Heart of the Soul podcast. My name is Amana, and I'm so happy that you're here. This is a space where we explore what it means to be wild women walking upon this earth, connecting about that which is often unseen and unspoken through the ancient ritual of storytelling. May soaking in these stories bring you closer to your own innate knowing and center you into a more embodied and alive version of your beautiful, unique self. Today is Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. The moon is currently waning towards our next new moon with a solar south node eclipse in Libra tomorrow, when this episode will also publish. Today on the show, I have Emily Grace Nixon, also known as the Birth Advocate on Instagram. And I found her through, or she found me through the spiritual midwitch, Anna. I have a hard time pronouncing her name correctly. Anna, I think is how you say it, but was delighted to be connected with you and see that we have so many similar threads, and I've listened to you on some other podcasts, and I'm excited to hear your story, how it comes today, because I know that each time we tell our story, it's a little bit different depending on, the how long it's been since the happening that we're sharing the story about and other factors. But yeah, Emily, if you would love to, I would love if you would take a moment and introduce yourself further in whatever way feels good to you.
Thank you so much, Amana. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast, and I'm really looking forward to having you on mine as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did. I found you through Anna. She came on your podcast. It was such a rich episode. I don't think that, anything she has to say is ever not rich. She is my mentor. I just say Anna. I think in Sweden it is like Anya, Anna,
Anna.
something. Bless your soul.
Yes.
Yes, but I'm really honored to be here and to have this conversation with you today. I didn't prepare at all. I'm just showing up literally as is. And as I was sharing before we hit record, like this new moon that's here and us being like in this eclipse situation, like I'm not like super like astrologically oriented and inclined, but something big happened with the full moon eclipse that we just had. And then it was actually that was on a Tuesday. And then like
Mhm.
I had like some pretty big shifts happen on Friday that week. And like things
Wow.
have just been really shifting a lot since then. And like I'm about to bleed.
Mhm.
And so it's like I'm like right there on that cusp of a lot, it
Mhm.
feels like. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just showing up as is today. And to introduce myself, that's always an interesting one too.
Great.
I've been on the planet for 39 years. I have a 2-year-old son, and my life has been pretty like, uh, mm, yeah, I mean, like I grew up, I was born in Baltimore, but then I was raised in Western Maryland. So like super country, like homeschooled, like very much like outside the system. My dad is a very unique, interesting character. My mother is an artist, and like I just played outside as a kid all the time, and I was always drawn to like animals, like helping animals and like playing witches and like outside like staring at the stars. The first thing I wanted to be was an astronomer and then a vet. And then, like long story short version, I ended up in nursing school, and I did this accelerated program and just excelled. Like I gobbled it all up. And yeah, I worked in healthcare for almost 20 years. Started off as a nursing assistant in high school, my senior year of high school, and then got my RN. And I did everything from emergency room to home health care to step down, mostly cardiac.
Hmm.
ambulatory surgery, like all the different things.
Did you
And
do any birth work in the system?
no,
No.
I
Okay.
did not, which I'm so grateful for. Oh my gosh, so grateful for. Of course, in nursing school, you have your rotation in OB, and I did see a couple of cesareans. And I
Hmm.
saw one vaginal birth. This woman, she was like from another country. I'm not sure where her origin was, but she came in, she barely spoke English, and like the baby like flew out of her like 10 minutes after she got there. So that was, and everyone was like, oh my God, vaginal birth, like she was unmedicated. It was a thing. So that was kind of interesting. But of course, the energy in that room I can recall was like chaotic. It wasn't
Hmm.
like this mother has like birthing in her power, leave her alone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and like my older sister, she has been incredibly instrumental in my life, my whole life. I have an older sister and a younger sister. We're all about 3 years apart. But I've always kind of like followed her, in some way, shape, or form. And she moved to Asheville, North Carolina, which, if you know, there's a bit of a crunchy scene there.
Mhm.
And like she was in the home birth world down there. And her first birth, she attempted to home birth, ended up transferring, but she had that like in her. So her second birth then was a
Mhm.
home birth, and her third birth, actually, she ended up going to the hospital, and I was there for that one. So that was not the greatest experience, but I also saw my little sister. She was only 19 when she gave birth in the hospital. And thinking back, I was in nursing school at that time. And like, I'm there, like taking notes, I'm like doing like the nurse thing and like documenting for her, having no idea that like she's like in a birth portal. And like, we're all just like standing in the room, like talking, chit chatting. And she's like in labor with like a towel over her face.
Wow.
Well, I have like real feelings about that experience, knowing
Hmm.
what I know now.
Yeah.
But of
Yeah.
course, she was 19 and just like it was a pretty easy, quote unquote, easy labor. She was really
Hmm.
great. She did amazing. Where was I in the story though? Oh, yes. But it was about 10 years ago that I started really understanding what like real health meant. I had a diagnosis of PCOS. I had like chronic fatigue. I had like all these symptoms and like I was overweight, all these things that just my life, wasn't healthy. And it was clearly lifestyle, right? Like it's just so easy now, also, when I look back. But I went on my own health journey and got myself healthy, like no symptoms whatsoever, no PCOS symptoms, built a bunch of muscle, like did stress management, sleep quality, like all the just the basics, just took care of the basics. And as a side effect, I became a healthy human. And that created a lot of cognitive dissonance within my nursing career, right? And it started feeling like I still was in the rescuer, right? So like I still was attempting to like rescue people and like help people. And then I moved a little further down the track of like self-responsibility, victim consciousness, and all of this, and started being kind of triggered by all of the victim consciousness that is within the medical industrial complex. And yeah, I was pretty done with it. All my peers were so unhealthy, and just all the patients were so unhealthy, and just that environment of a hospital, like all the EMF and fluorescent lighting, and just like the beeps, and my nervous system was like, get me out of here. Every single break, I would go outside, take my shoes off, and just like sit on the earth.
Hmm.
And just
Yes.
like ground down, like give me 5 minutes of Mama Earth, and then I can go back. So like I was the weird one out nurse, always have been. Yeah, and then I started travel nursing just to kind of like bide my time because you make great money, you get to go on these adventures, and like that's a huge part of who I am, is like
Hmm.
adventure. And then I ended up coming to Maine, which is where I am now, and as a travel nurse, and I loved it here. It's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And Maine is a huge state. Like up north is way different than down south.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's the coastline, and yeah, so I was here quite a bit, and then I ended up taking a permanent job doing home health. And that's when the pandemic hit, and I hunkered down. I just hunkered down here, because no one knew what was happening in the beginning.
Mm.
And so I ended up very quickly hooking up with the medical freedom crowd here in Maine, very quickly, thank goodness, and really helped to push that movement here in Maine um, in a number of different ways. But it ended up then in August of 2021. Was it 2021? Yeah. The the governor announced mandate for the experimental injection for all healthcare workers. And there is no exemption here in Maine. You can't have a religious exemption and the medical exemption. They were like, doctors were too afraid to write it. So
Wow.
it was like either take it or lose your job. So
Hmm.
I was very clear, like I'm not taking that. So
Hmm.
I like started this coalition for healthcare workers against medical mandates, and there was like 4,000 people signed up on our email list. I was hosting rallies across the state. It was a very intense time for all. And then in November of 2021, I let my job go officially. And then in December, I fell pregnant. And I'd only been with my partner at the time, Isaiah, for 6 months. So it was crazy. And honestly, like 4 months of that 6 months was me running the coalition and like being very busy. So yeah, and then
Well,
yeah, like it was a lot has happened. I know everybody, like from 2020 on, it's been like just this
mhm.
portal of like all of our
Yes.
lives changing and all of the things happening. And I'm really grateful to be able to say that it has been a very positive impact in my life. Like the people that I surround myself with, the little bubble that I do live in is beautifully curated. Like they are just amazing salt of the earth humans. And like I have certainly found my tribe here for sure. And I
Mm.
love that I can say that too, because I like didn't want to stay here. I didn't want to stay in Maine. Like I'm not from here. The winters are long, the bugs are bad. I'm an outdoor person and it's like I don't want to be destroyed by mosquitoes and ticks and then like be freezing cold. So it's like I have this laundry list of complaints about Maine, but I just like love the people here so much. And
Amazing.
yeah,
One of
so
my favorite childhood books was The One Morning in Maine. Do you know that one?
no, I don't.
She's in Bucks Harbor, and yeah,
Oh,
you know where that is, but yeah.
is that a kid's book, did you say?
Yeah, a children's book. The same
Oh,
person who wrote Blueberries for Sal.
oh,
Do you know that?
no, but I'm like trying to expand Kian's library, so maybe I'll get that one for him.
Yeah, I'll show it to you before we're done here.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So, did you always know that you thought you would be a mom, or was that a surprise for you? And I'm also wondering what you might know about your own birth before you like move
Mhm.
forward with you birthing your son. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to answer both of those questions because no, I absolutely did not know that I was going to have children in this lifetime. Like I said, I'm 39, and so I was 36 when I got pregnant. Um, and I had come to this place well, let's start back my like late 20s. I had the super urge. I want to be a mom. Everything that's happened in my life has prepared me to be a good mom. Like this is how I can find meaning to all of the struggle and the strife that has happened in my life. Like it's just preparing me to be an amazing mom. And like I had so many relationships that like did not work out and just like so much heartache and so much struggle and so much growing up to do, right? So I eventually came to this place of like peace within myself. Like maybe I'm not going to have children. And like I loved myself. I loved my life. I loved the freedom. I was really quite content with my life. And then really like with 2020 happening, I think we all kind of again took a pause and like a reevaluation of like, what do we really want in this life? Like, what is really important to us? And I started feeling the urge again. I started
Mhm.
feeling the call. And when I partnered up with Isaiah, I really truly was like thinking long term. Like, I am looking for someone that I can spend my life with, that I can trust in this crazy time that we're in, that has the same vision as I do, and that, I want to make a baby. So
Yeah.
honestly, I was quite conscious of that, and he was not so much. I felt a little baby coming in like 3 months before he came.
Hmm.
And I had conversations with Isaiah about it. He didn't get it at all like I did. He was like, "Oh no, 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 no. Like, no, we're not ready." And that's the truth. Like, we were not ready at all.
Mm.
Like, not at all. But yeah, so I knew the little one was coming and I was not surprised, but it definitely was not planned. Mm-mm.
Yeah. 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 They don't always wait till we're ready, you know?
Not
Yeah.
at all. But as far as my birth goes, my mother, so with Anna's mentorship, we did this beautiful deep dive into our own birth imprint. So I,
Hmm.
in the last year or two, sat down with my mom and talked all about it as much as she can remember, because that's the thing, right? Like, our moms weren't thinking about birth the way that we think about birth.
Hmm.
So the story is that she began to labor at home, and very quickly, like, it was not a comfortable situation. Her mother-in-law, whom she didn't get along with, and my dad were like not being super supportive. So she just felt like not supported, in pain. She attempted to go to the hospital. They sent her back home to labor for like another 20 hours or something. And then they took her in on the morning of June 9th, which was a Sunday, 1985. And she remembers like being in the waiting room and my dad like saying something like, "Oh, suck it up. It's not that bad," or something like that. And her just like wanting to murder him. And then she told me about how when she finally got back to the room, the nurses were really nice and really supportive, and she got the epidural. So I'm assuming Pitocin. She doesn't recall that. Um, and then she doesn't remember like a whole lot from there, other than I was pulled out with forceps. Um, and it was about a full 24 hours of labor. So I was born at 11:45 at night on June 9th. And then, yeah, she doesn't have any memory of like the placenta delivery. I'm sure the cord was cut right away.
Hmm.
I do believe I spent that first night in the nursery away from mama. Thankfully, she did breastfeed me, although she had this interesting bit to tell me about the breastfeeding, that because she was living with the mother-in-law and they had a basement room, and she would go down into the basement to breastfeed me just to like get away from the mother-in-law. And she was like, and I would just be like having all these like angry thoughts, and I was so mad and so frustrated, and I'm like, they're just trying to breastfeed you. And I'm like, oh wow, this explains so much, mom. Thank you so much for
Oh.
this information.
Ah.
Yeah, and then like, so like asking her about bonding, she's like, that word wasn't in our consciousness. It wasn't.
Hmm. Hmm.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
And she also, my older sister, of course, was like 3 years old at the time, so she's chasing a toddler and then a
Hmm.
newborn living in her in-laws' home. I think I was 3 or 4 when my dad had built our house and we moved out. So yeah, I had a very medicalized birth for sure.
Hmm.
Don't tell
Yeah.
me what to do. That my forceps delivery very much put like a warrior inside of me. I am sure of it.
Yes. Yes. So now take me to when you, it sounds like surprisingly, but not fully surprisingly, you knew that this soul was coming to you. But how did you, yeah, how did you become aware that you were pregnant and had this new little wombling inside of you?
Yeah. So we actually conceived, we had the unprotected sex, and I was ovulating on the winter solstice, so December 21st. And let's see, my period didn't come. And of course, I was having those symptoms of like just feeling really full, like my boobs hurt, and just this tiny little edge of nausea, just like a whisper of nausea. And I waited until I think it was like 4 days late, and then all of a sudden it hit me, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant." And like it wasn't like an exciting feeling at all. It was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm pregnant. So like I went to the store and I bought a pregnancy test, and it was actually in the evening. And I was like, there's no way I'm waiting until the morning to take this. I need to know right now. So I went into the bathroom, peed on the stick. I hadn't said anything to Isaiah yet, and it came back positive. And I like had all of the feelings in that moment. I think terror was actually like one of the biggest feelings that I felt, like, oh God, it's like the whole world just like crashes and stops all of a sudden.
Hmm.
And and also that spark of like excitement too. Like I knew this was coming, like like affirmative kind of thing. Um, and I still didn't tell Isaiah, which is interesting. I actually told my best friend. I texted her,
Mm.
and she, of course, has been like one of the most supportive, beautiful lights in my life. Our stories have woven through time without even trying. Her name's Danica. Shouts out to Danica. Um, yeah, and then like I slept on it basically. I remember snapping some pictures of me and Isaiah that night. Like he didn't know, but I knew, and I could like see it in my eye. And then, I eventually, of course, told him, I think it was the next day, and he cried and like said, "Oh my God, I need to buy a ring." Like had this like beautiful reaction that I think every woman would want their man to have. But then reality set in, and like he and I were not doing good.
Mm.
We like things blew up really quickly between us. And that's actually a thread that I probably haven't woven in very much to the other times I've told the story. And it feels relevant to bring it in because a lot of women go through this,
Hmm.
and it's what I'm in right now. And like we're co-parenting still. Like we're not a couple. And we've tried, but it's like not working out. So it's like all of the things that came up at that moment in time are like the same things that
Mm.
we're still dealing with.
Hmm.
But this little soul like chose us to be his parents. It's pretty amazing how like the exact triggers that like, we're like perfectly made to trigger each other in those ways. And that's the healing that needs to happen. And like whether or not we end up as a couple or co-parenting, there's still the healing is like very apparent what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm happy to keep going on and telling the story, or if you have a question.
Yeah, if you want to keep going, you can. I don't want to interrupt your flow.
This is the thing. I wasn't sure how it was going to come out, like I said, but I
Yeah.
am very much like a talker. Like I love to tell stories, and I get really passionate about this one, so you can just stop me if you need to, but I'll
Okay.
I'll keep going. Um, yeah, so this beginning of this pregnancy was like one of the most tumultuous times of my life. It it brought up so much, like all of my
Mm.
stuff I feel like came
Hmm.
up. I remember it was like Christmas Eve because I had like just found out I was pregnant for like
Right.
Christmas,
Yeah.
and like all of these hormones surging through me. And well, actually I didn't know I was pregnant at Christmas. Yeah, Christmas happened and then I found out I was pregnant. So like
Right.
I was crying, I was sobbing. I felt like a little girl. Like that's what was coming up for me. This like all this like little girl wounded feelings of like being forgotten, not wanted, like all of these like big, 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 big feelings. And Isaiah and I actually broke up. We decided to end it. And then we went and did the whole Christmas thing and then came back. And that's when I had taken the pregnancy test and realized I was pregnant. And at first we were like, we're going to work it out. And then I started bleeding at like 10 days after I had taken the test. And
Mhm.
it was like a lot of blood. And I thought I gathered some of it and I thought like I saw tissue in there. And I remember it was a full moon that night and I took the blood out and it was a snowy, beautiful field. And like I gave the blood back to the earth and honestly felt a sense of relief because I was like, wow, I don't have to like all of the rabbit holes my mind just took me on for 10 days. Like I don't have to go down that road anymore. And then because I am misprepared, I had already contacted all these midwives and set up meetings with them to interview them. And I started emailing everybody and I was like, listen, I don't think I'm pregnant anymore because all the symptoms went away too. Like I started bleeding, the nausea went away, my boobs stopped hurting. Like I was like, I'm not pregnant anymore. And then one midwife called me back and left a message and she was also a naturopathic doctor and she just really I just like felt true care coming through her in that voicemail. She was like, if you want to get some lab work done, maybe like find out why this miscarriage happens, maybe you want to get pregnant in the future, like, and because I had had PCOS, I was like, maybe I do, maybe my hormones are a little wonky, maybe I do want to find out what's going on. So I went in to see her and she checked my progesterone and my HCG. And the HCG was actually high enough to indicate that I was still pregnant. And the progesterone was really low. So that's probably why I wasn't feeling very pregnant. Um, and all the while this is happening, Isaiah and I are really feeling like not stable. Which it makes a lot of sense, right? Like why I would have had this bleed and like it just everything makes sense in hindsight. But this is an interesting part of the story and another part that has a lot of medicine for women listening because this is where I really learned how to like really truly claim self-responsibility and like lean into self-trust and lean into my intuition because the next few things that I'm about to tell you, like I didn't need to do any of them. None of the information I received from the blood work or the ultrasounds that I agreed to helped me in any way, shape, or form. They did nothing. And it's a very important part of the story.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know if I was pregnant, right? Because I'm like, I'm trying to figure out if I'm like staying with this guy or not, or like what's happening with my life. So I took another blood test a few days later. The HCG was trending up. So I was still pregnant. And the bleeding had stopped. So the question then is the pregnancy on its way out? Is it not? Like, if I had leaned in a little bit longer, like time would tell, right?
Yeah, leaning into the
Time,
mystery and yeah, time would show you.
time
Yes.
would have told me, but little Miss Impatient Emily was not yet ready for that lesson to be learned. So I agreed to go get an ultrasound. And this ultrasound showed a beating heart. It showed a subchorionic hemorrhage that was, who knows, resolving or not. Like it just showed that there was a hemorrhage. And then it showed that the yolk sac might be abnormal. So that gave me no information. Yes,
Yeah.
there's a little beating heart at that moment. Is it on its way out? We don't know. Is the
Hmm.
yolk sac? I don't know. So me again, being Miss Impatient Emily, wanting to feel in control of this magic, mysterious moment in my life, decided to get another ultrasound about a week later. This ultrasound showed that the subchorionic hemorrhage was almost gone. The yolk sac was normal, but it might be a right corneal pregnancy, meaning like way up in the right horn of the uterus, almost in the fallopian tube,
Mm-hmm.
which could be an emergency if,
Mm-hmm.
if it were to grow too fast or too big or actually be implanted and burst my fallopian tube. So my midwife calls me and she said, so sorry, Emily. Like, I know, like, I knew there was risks involved with getting an ultrasound at such a early gestational age at any time. Like I knew these things, but I was in such a state of like grasping that I said yes. So my midwife calls and she says, I know this is terrible, but like I need to ask you to go have another ultrasound to make sure that this isn't a right corneal pregnancy. And I mean, I was kind of pissed at that moment. Like I and scared, like mad and scared. And like I had been feeling these little twinges of pain like in the right ovary, like when you're ovulating, like you can feel a little bit of twingy pain. And so then your mind is like, well, shit, maybe I can't trust my body. So, so I went in for this third freaking ultrasound in like 2 weeks' time. And the woman actually was really wonderful. She only had the probe there for like 2 minutes. And within that time, she said, this looks perfect. Everything's where it should be. And I said, that is the information I'm receiving, and I'm out of here. Like, and that was just my defining moment of like, no more. Absolutely
Mhm.
no more. I'm not doing this to myself. I'm not doing this to my body. I'm not doing this to my baby. I'm done.
Mm.
So so I did learn the lesson, which was nice. Can't say I won't come back around because that's how healing and happens. But for the rest of that pregnancy, I chose not to do any more ultrasounds and only do testing that I actually wanted the results to, because I'm a
Mhm.
nerd and I like lab work sometimes. Um, yeah, and I had already been diving into the Free Birth Society, and like of course, I know the system inside and out. I know all about informed consent and like my rights. And I actually had found that midwife through the medical freedom community. So I wrote up basically a free birth plan, and I emailed it to her, so it's all documented, and um, asked her like, where does your license come in, and like where are your boundaries so that we can figure out a birth plan that that I'm going to feel comfortable with, that you're going to feel comfortable with, that we like should we work together basically.
Mhm.
And this was a very big also like learning part for me, because I, as strong as I am, my good girl was still very present, especially when I would be having conversations about this with her. Like I absolutely knew that when it came down to it, no one's going to do anything to me that I do not want them to do. Like I knew that I was going to have a voice, but like sitting in her office, there was a moment where she said to me, Emily, it sounds like you don't trust me. And like kind of like had like a little attitude behind it, like taking it personally that I'm claiming responsibility for my birth.
Mhm.
And all like the truth is I'm asking a licensed midwife to be my midwife. So like she is who she is. So it is true. Like, no, I didn't fully trust her, but also I am taking responsibility that I'm like asking her to be at my birth. So, like it's a thing you have to deal with if you want to have a midwife at your birth. And so I remember my good girl absolutely being like, no, 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 like I want you there. I really just want you there in case of an emergency, though. So, like, I want you to be downstairs unless I ask you to come upstairs and, like, talk to Isaiah first and, like, just basically, like, don't disturb me. That was my birth plan with her. Um, that's not exactly what happened, but I'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, did she agree to it at that moment?
She,
Like,
she
and then later did things outside of that, or?
Well, I can't by any terms of the definition of the terms say that she like sabotaged my birth by any means. It was fine. Like everything
Mhm.
worked out fine. Which I'll get to the details of that. But she basically did agree. She actually told me that she had attended a quote unquote free birth. She sat on the
Mhm.
porch and they were in a pool in the backyard, and the mom just birthed her baby and she was just there like in case they needed something. So like she told me that she had had these
Mhm. Mhm.
experiences before, and yeah, and like I wrote
Okay.
her this like like this whole thing of like I take responsibility, I release you from all strongholds, like up to death. Like I am not gonna hold you responsible, like I'm taking responsibility. Um
Amazing.
it was fun. Um yeah, but let's see, do you want to know anything more about the pregnancy? I feel like I should talk about intuition building because
Yeah.
it came
Yeah.
in so strong for me,
Yes.
especially that first trimester. I don't know about, it's not that this isn't the story for every woman, but it was like I was, and it's, you can't put it into words hardly. Like I was just so aware of so many different layers and textures of things
Mhm.
in the realm, in different realms. And I was almost like I was aware of the presence of others that like you couldn't see as well.
Yeah.
Everything just really expanded and like I felt very held. I felt very held. I felt very safe. I felt very connected. I felt incredibly expansive. I felt very strong. I felt just like magic. I just felt like magic.
Mm.
And again, duality because I'm like having these struggles with my partner. Like we're like little kids, it felt like trying to like figure out how to, do life all of a sudden. But I'm also feeling like a freaking oracle. Like I'm just and I was so connected to my baby. I knew he was a boy as soon as I found out I was pregnant.
Wow.
I knew that he had an amazing sense of humor. Like I knew that he was relaxed and chill and that like the message I consistently got from him was like, it's all good, mama. You do you. It's all good. Like, don't worry
Oh,
about me.
wow.
Yeah. And it was just a delight to like spend those amazing, 10 moons with him. It was
Yes.
with him in my body and just the thing is, I spent a lot of my pregnancy, like my experience. Of course, I had my mama friends that came in, like the portal opened, and then all of a sudden, like all of my friends were pregnant or having babies, and
Hmm.
that was new for me, but it was perfect. But I also spent a lot of this pregnancy like by myself too, like just really inward a lot.
Hmm.
Again, because my partner and I were not very connected at all. Like he was working a lot and stressing about the things that men do, and it was nice because I was able to like have the time and the space that I needed. Like I was not working, which was
Hmm.
amazing. I kind of did
Yeah.
like a little real estate side gig thing, but that I don't even remember anything that I learned. It's all completely gone. Um, but yeah, I was like outside sunbathing a lot, taking a bunch of pictures of myself, just like journaling and just
Mm.
really like sinking in deeply and just
Mm.
loving every bit of it. Just every day was like magic. Um,
Yes. And your intuition, I feel like it's really common for women to speak about in pregnancy and early motherhood, feeling like it's amplified in a way. And it
yeah.
sounds like you intentionally also practiced using your intuition as well.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did, and I know that, of course, looking back, there are so many ways where I could have leaned in deeper. I have no regrets, but I absolutely, it was turned on to another level. And
Hmm.
it seemed like that first trimester was the most potent, and then it did sort of like dissipate a little bit. But I also, because I am who I am, I'm also very like heady too. Like I'm a nerd, I'm a total nerd. And I love science and anatomy and physiology. And like, of course, I went down all of the deep dive hole. And like, I knew the physiology of birth inside and out before I gave birth. Like,
Yes.
I did such a crazy deep dive. I just was completely immersed in natural birth stories, in
Hmm.
books, with women that had home birthed, and just it was
Was
nectar.
that anything that you had explored before this pregnancy, or is that something that came with this pregnancy?
It really came with the pregnancy. I guess I like always knew that I would home birth, like I have like a natural birth. I always like had that. I never even for a second honestly can imagine myself ever giving birth in a hospital. And I'm trying to think back to a time when I would have thought, but no,
Mm-hmm.
no. Especially again with my sister giving
Yeah,
that beautiful example of trusting that she could birth at home.
totally.
Um, yeah, so where was I? Yeah. Um, Intuition, beautiful expansion. I was just going to mention that I did have extreme fatigue though in this pregnancy to the point
Mhm.
where I just spent a lot of time like lying down and sitting and you know, I used to be very much into like weightlifting and rock climbing and all of this like really athletic stuff and I
Mhm.
wanted to pride myself on like being, like really fit and pregnant. And of course, the body change stuff that is huge for so many
Yes.
women. I totally experienced all of that.
Yeah.
And it was like a command to just drop into the softness and like the divine feminine. It was like a vortex that just sucked me in to where there was nothing to do but surrender to it because like I
Mhm.
legitimately did not have the energy.
Yeah.
And so I just like laid down and I'm like, okay, I am soft now. I am softening.
Yes. Oh,
And so I did. And it was beautiful. Like I had a very healthy pregnancy other than the fatigue.
beautiful. So you're planning a home birth, and what did you do to like, did you create a specific space that you wanted to birth
Mm-hmm.
in, or take me to that and closer to
Mm-hmm.
how labor
Yes.
began?
Yeah, I had by 37 weeks was my goal. All the boxes were checked, like the nest was created. That door behind me leads to our bathroom, and it's not a very big room, but it's a generous size. I mean, the birth tub fit in there as well.
Oh, amazing.
So, and we painted it like this like dark calming color, and I had all my birth affirmations hung up and like images that really spoke to me and my fairy lights.
Hmm.
And we had all the things. And yeah, so let's go to labor starting. So I was not really watching the clock at all, but again, I had a pretty like easy time because I went into labor at 39 and 5 or 4. His quote unquote 40-week due date was September 15th, and I went into labor on the 10th. So
Hmm.
I didn't have that like 2 weeks post date, like I'm
Yeah.
waiting, but the ceremony started for me. I think it was like about the 8th, I think it was. I just started really feeling that separation. I started feeling really like spacey, just wanting to be alone, wanting to be home. I remember like I opened the ceremony without even knowing I opened the ceremony, but I had this instinct, this urge to grab my sage and just to like walk in every room of the house and the perimeter of our property, just like pouring out gratitude for my life and this experience that I was currently having, and also asking for prayers of protection
Hmm.
and just like really like leaning in, right? And
Wow.
so I didn't know I was about to start labor, but that happened. And then the next morning I woke up at like 3:30 and I was having some cramps, like period like cramps.
Hmm.
And they were happening probably every 20 minutes or so, but I hadn't really had any of that prior. So that it was like there's something happening. And
Hmm.
I was like checking my own self and I could tell like everything was super juicy there. I couldn't like fit fingers up in my cervix, but I could tell things were like very soft and buttery. And I hadn't lost my mucus plug yet, but there was some mucus there and stuff. No bloody show, but I was like, yeah, wow, things might be happening. So then the 9th was that day that I woke up with some cramps that were happening in waves. And by 3 p.m., they stopped. Nothing was ever like really intense. It was just like a, hey, this is happening. And then the next night, I might be having the dates a little bit wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah.
The September full moon was on September 10th at 5:50 in the morning or something like that. And I woke up at 3:30 the next morning. And this time the cramps were a little more. It was just a little more intense
Hmm.
to where like I got up out of bed. And I remember walking outside on like our side deck and looking up at the moon and the stars and like feeling
Mm.
another surge and like being like, oh yeah, like that, this is happening. And it was just a little too much. I didn't want to go back to sleep. I was again like, I was in the ceremony, it was happening. So I ran myself a bath. I grabbed some of my favorite crystals and magnesium and Epsom salts and some oils and just like put on Yolanda's birth affirmations and just like hung out in the tub. And that was actually right at the peak of the full moon. And I remember I was just like in this state of surrender already. I was there. And then the sun came up and Isaiah woke up, and my deepest desire was to be alone. I
Mm.
really wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be observed in this
Hmm.
early phase, and I didn't want to leave the house. So Isaiah actually had some stuff to do, which was great. So
Yeah. Did you anticipate that ahead of time, or was that just come up for you in the moment of wanting to be
yeah,
alone?
it just came up in the moment, like I
Yeah.
wanted to know that I had people I could call.
Hmm.
But like it was pretty clear that we didn't hire a doula, honestly. We didn't.
Hmm.
I didn't have
Hmm.
anybody else planning to be there but Isaiah and then the midwife when I was ready to call her. So we were planning on being alone. Um, and I think about that and it's like, yes, of course, like an undisturbed birth really is like just not being observed, right? But
Hmm.
then there's also that element of like not wanting to be vulnerable in front of other people, which is something that I am like, it's one of my takeaways, one of the spirals and layers that I think about when I think about my birth, because it's so amazing to be able to like lean in and allow yourself to be held and witnessed by others instead of like that gripping feeling that like you have to do it on your own, like white knuckling it.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting thing for me.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
if
but
he went off
like,
and did some things and you were laboring alone.
yep. And I did a really good job. I I drank a ton of electrolyte
Ugh.
water, I snacked, I napped, I listened to my affirmations. I just basically was resting and hydrating and being nourished all day. And they weren't too intense, but they were building enough to where like they were taking my full attention for sure.
Hmm.
And then, like, when he got home around 2 or so, I remember feeling like it was harder to deal with even what I was dealing with at that time. Having that new energy in the home, being witnessed, like it was different. And it took a little
Hmm.
time to adjust to this being witnessed in this, even by like the baby daddy. Like, it's
Yeah.
so real, like how sensitive we are, and how, like, of course, like I'm even more like a highly sensitive person, but like all women in the birth portal are incredibly sensitive, and we need to be very sensitive to that. So I settled in then with his energy, and we both decided to like keep resting because I was like, this could be days. So who knows? Let's rest, let's eat, let's, relax. So we like drew the curtains in the bedroom, laid down, and they started ramping up in intensity a bit. And so I asked him to hold some counter pressure, which really did feel good, felt supportive. And then he was also holding the heating pad to my low back, which felt really good too. All of my sensations were really in my back. I don't believe that Kian was posterior, but like I didn't have like the front, like really feeling it a lot in the front at all. It was more
Hmm.
like my sacrum and my SI joints almost the whole time, just feeling like they were like burning and splitting apart.
Oh, yeah.
So the heat was amazing and the pressure
Hmm.
really felt good
Hmm.
too. But we just did this dance until about the sun time the sun went down. We were just laying in bed, and I'd lay on my side, a surge would come, I'd hop up on my hands and knees, and he would hold the heating pad and the pressure, and then I'd lay back down. And as you probably know, when melatonin starts to kick in, it potentiates oxytocin. So as the
Mhm.
sun was setting, things really did start to ramp up. Um, I got up to the bathroom to go pee, and I had a surge on the toilet, and it took me over an edge that I wasn't ready for, and
Yeah.
got nauseous and just like, just felt awful. And I was like, oh, this is, oh, like starting to have those feelings of, yeah, this is gross. I don't like this at all. Not leaning in, definitely not leaning in. Um, and whenever I would stand up and walk around or like not be laying on my side or hands or knees, I just didn't feel like I could cope. I
Hmm.
didn't feel like it just was too much. So my body, and so this is the thing. It's like, was it fear? Was it tension? Was it anxiety? Or was it just really like listening to where my body wanted to be? Because I know I had a lot of fear and tension. I definitely did. I was not fully leaning in. I was going to a place in my mind where I could handle the situation, the intensity of it,
Hmm.
but it was really because I wasn't moving very much. I wasn't adding other stimuli to what was coming in already.
Yeah.
So that's how I coped until about 11:30. I asked him to fill the tub up because they were really ramping up and I was just ready for a change, ready for a shift.
Hmm.
We got in the tub and it was perfect timing because things really, really ramped up, but I was able to relax fully
Yeah.
in between these sensations. I was falling asleep in between them.
Amazing how that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what it's there for. I mean, because a
Hmm.
mama's job is truly to lean into this situation, lean into this intensity, but then like fully surrender and relax as soon as she
Yes.
possibly can. Like
Yes.
relaxing if you can into the intensity, but also like as soon as it's over, just like ragdoll, right?
Yeah.
So
And
that's
taking
where I
those little naps, those like tiny naps that are so helpful.
so incredibly important, and also like transporting, right? Like I
Yes.
couldn't begin to describe, but there was a lot happening.
Out in the
um
cosmos.
Totally. Yeah, so we were in the tub for just a little over an hour when a huge surge came and like an audible pop. And it took me 1 second, but I was like, my water just broke. Of course, I did a million things in that moment. I'm like, it's clear, no meconium. There's my mucus plug floating over there. Let me grab that. Like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, like burning, intense.
Ooh,
Like I know his head dropped
yes.
right down onto my cervix, stretched me
Yeah.
wide open. I had to vomit, like
Mm,
transition
yeah.
immediately hit.
Wow.
Classic. And I it was too much all of a sudden, so overwhelmed, all of the classic transition feelings of just like I need to crawl out of my skin right now. I can't handle this. I can't do this. It's too much. Oh my God. Call the midwife. Like now is the time to call the midwife. I'm ready for her to be called. So Isaiah did actually leave me alone then, which by the way, once he was holding pressure to my back, he had to be with me the entire time.
Mm,
Like I couldn't
hmm.
not be without him. He was
Yeah.
actually holding pressure even in between surges.
Uh-huh.
So he worked pretty hard. But he did have to leave then to go try to call her because of course she didn't answer her phone at first. And then he's like
Oof.
calling her husband's phone. And then she like finally anyway. So my water broke at 12:45. I know because I checked the time after like I had a little recovery and like texted my group of women from my mother blessing and was like, it's happening, pray for me. Um, and then I was in transition. I had no idea the transition could be longer than a few minutes, but I
Mm,
was in transition for probably an hour and a half or so. Like I was in this just like crazy storm. That's the way I describe it. It was just a storm, and I completely forgot what was happening to me. I was just being pummeled by the waves. Um, and then I also had this incredibly grounded, anchored, like wise elder woman present with me who like midwifed me through this experience and like reminded me to turn my thoughts around, to say out loud, like, I can, and I thank you to these crazy waves that were annihilating me. Um, and so like I did, and at some point in that craziness, like I started to come off the other side of feeling like, okay, like, all right, like now I know what my job is. I just have to get through this and then rest. Like, and I just couldn't have any outside influence whatsoever distracting me. Like it was just pure focus.
Mhm.
Um, and I will say too, like I had complete dread for the next sensation coming, even though I would say the words like thank you. I felt complete dread. It was not a pleasant experience, by any means. I did not take the advice I would give a woman now, like to lean in to these sensations. I
Mhm.
definitely was holding back quite a bit. But I
Mm.
was finally to this place though where I was like kind of riding the waves a little bit. Like I wasn't quite in transition. Yeah, I was like past it. I was just about to drift into emergence and pushing when the midwife showed up. And she didn't stay downstairs. I hear her walking up the steps and she's got assistant midwife with her, which by the way, the one that was supposed to be there couldn't make it. So it's someone I've never met before.
Oh.
But in that moment, I didn't give a fuck, honestly. I did not care if I'd met her or not. What I did care about was that I could hear them talking. I saw the light turn on under the door, and I felt insanely vulnerable. I
Mhm.
remember that feeling of just like, oh my God, like I feel so vulnerable right now. And she came into the room and she was very sweet, very gentle, very like slow moving, which was really nice. But she didn't just like sit there and watch me or talk to Isaiah outside with a whisper or something. She asked me all the questions, right? Have you ate? Have you drank? Did you pee? Is baby moving? How long have you been in the tub? Like all the questions.
Mhm.
And then she wanted to get my vitals and she wanted to listen to baby. Um, I being the good girl that I am, I kind of answered her questions. I let her take my vitals. I knew baby was okay, but I wasn't bothered with the idea of her listening to him that time. So all the things got done. And then she asked me if I felt pushy. And I said no. But then the next surge, there was a push, like at the top, like I started to feel
Ugh.
pushy. Um, One thing I forgot to mention is I was doing my own internal checks. So
Mhm.
even though I was like lost and being tossed around, I still like had presence of mind to like check and see what I could feel. And I could feel his head in there.
Mm.
And I could feel this like lip of tissue, which I imagined to be a cervical lip in my mind.
Mm.
And like everything, like I had no intuition that something was wrong by any means, but I could just feel that there was a little like rubbery lip of tissue kind of like around his head.
Mhm.
And I told her that, and she said, you don't want to push on that. I can move it out of the way for you.
Mm.
And it was an absolute no, like absolutely fucking not. No one's touching me, like no way. Very clear on that. But I
Mhm.
got in my head then, of course,
Mm.
right? For probably, I'd say maybe like 4 or 5 surges. So for maybe like 10 minutes or something.
Wow.
I'm in my head thinking like, oh, I'm not supposed to push, but my body is pushing. Oh my God, here comes another surge and oh, like I'm vomiting out my vagina.
Oh.
And I'm like trying not to let this move through me. Absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
Completely asinine. Don't listen to it. It's the dumbest thing ever. There was a study done on women laboring on their backs, being medicated, who pushed on a cervix and it got swollen. Of course that makes sense. It was not, it was a medicalized
Yeah,
burn.
like
This
coached pushing. Yeah.
this is
Whereas,
physiology.
oh, whereas, like, of course, there's going to be some sort of a cervical lip at some point that then moves away as the
Yeah,
baby's head moves through. Like,
right.
yeah.
So my experience of that was when I would attempt to hold off, the next one would be more powerful or
Uh-huh.
longer, and it
Yeah.
would take me over the edge of what I felt that I could handle. So it didn't take me long to just like surrender again because
Hmm.
I had no choice. This was happening to me.
Yeah.
Um, and so the pushing started around 2:30 or 3 or so. That's right when the midwives got there. And then from then on out, I mean, those pushing sensations are just so all consuming and so different from like the active labor contractions. It's just different, right? And at this time, I didn't want any pressure on my back anymore. So I was like, no, don't touch me. No, 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 don't touch. And I'm just like, they were tsunamis. I mean, I was not by any means riding these waves either very well or leaning in. Like they were just happening to me. And again, I was maxed out on what I could handle as far as stimuli. And the midwives were offering me water, offering me frozen blueberries. And I'm just like, I can't get out like too much out.
Hmm.
And so I
Yeah.
did ask everybody to leave the room. And let's see. So he was born at 4:53. So it was probably around 4:30-ish or something that I kicked everybody out for good. Um, so they were really only coming in and like bothering me for like 2 hours, but it was while I'm like intensely pushing and like
Yeah.
they asked me to get up and walk the stairs. They asked me to do all these things and like
What?
I was like my analogy that is
Ah,
like I'm hanging on by my fingernails and you want me to get out and like dance around like get out of here.
crazy.
But when if I look at it from like that perspective of helping the baby move like gravity and this and that, I had been in the tub for like four
Sure.
hours and like if I had gotten up and moved a little bit he probably would have flew out of me, but
Sure.
I was handling what I could handle and that was
Yeah.
it. um yes, so I got that surge of adrenaline which a woman gets right before baby emerges, and I
Hmm.
didn't know that that's what was happening, but like what I felt was like I like came back into my body all of a sudden. I had been off in this storm, totally forgot I was in labor. I came back into my body. It's just me and Isaiah in the room. And I like looked at him and I was like, I need a minute. Oh my freaking God. Like, I just need a minute. I think it was the first time the whole labor when I actually like said, stop, like pause the button, like I need to take a break.
Hmm.
Um, And then like I reached down and I felt his little head like right there about to
Right
come out.
there.
And
Wow.
like I just was like fully in my body. And I am telling you, Amana, the calm that came over me, the presence of mind, just the like the power, just the belief, the knowing, just all of it. I was so like ready. I had told
Hmm.
Isaiah, I said, nobody comes in. Make sure that door stays shut. And he did. He protected the space because I think the midwife did like kind of poke her head in it and
Hmm.
he like told her not to, but quietly because I didn't even know that happened.
That's amazing.
Yes, and she honored it, which was also really amazing.
Hmm.
So I had another surge and I started to feel the ring of fire. And I got myself up in like a half squat, left knee down, right knee up. And I was like, oh my God, Isaiah, like he's coming. He's on his way. This is the last leg of the journey. There has been a purpose to all of this. I didn't say that, but I was like, oh my God. Um, and so the Ring of Fire started and it was pretty intense. Another surge, and then it got like really intense. And I was like, oh shit, like the next surge, he's definitely got to like come out. Well, then I felt him rotate
Hmm.
inside of me. And then the next surge, his head came out. So like he kind of
Wow.
rotated in me before his head was all the way out. There was a lot happening there. But that was an insane relief. And then
Yeah.
I told Isaiah, I was like, the next surge, he's coming out, next surge. And it did. And it wasn't a very powerful surge. It was a gentle little surge.
Hmm.
And out he flew, though, into the dark water. And I could not see him in the water, but my hands knew exactly where to go to snatch him
Yeah.
up. Like I pulled him up and he was just like pink and hot and squealing, and I just knew he was absolutely perfect and absolutely healthy.
Mm.
And it's just that magical moment of like, holy shit, I just did that. There is a baby here. Like, what is like, there aren't words
Yeah.
to describe it.
No.
So nestled him up and leaned up back against the birth tub. Isaiah's crying, of course, and then the midwife does sneak in, hands me a little blanket to put on him. I let her listen to his heart and lungs. Um, he cried for a little bit and then kind of settled down and was just like eye gazing with us, which was really sweet.
Yeah.
And then we were probably in the water for maybe 20 or 30 minutes tops, but I truly had been in that tub for like 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
I was very ready to get out. Um, there wasn't a whole lot of bleeding at that point, and it was surprising how much agility I had to like stand up and put the
Mm-hmm.
leg up on the side of the tub, and I was like, hold a bowl here, let's see if the placenta will come out. Um, but then I felt like I wanted to squat because that's what my body asked me to do.
Mm-hmm.
The daddy took the baby. I hopped over the side of the tub and squatted over a bowl, and like she was partially out of me, and I just guided her the rest of the way out into the bowl. Some, nice big healthy clots came out behind her, and then they helped me over to the bed, and I felt I was just like high as a kite. And I know they left us alone at that point for a little bit with the baby. Um, but it was only an hour after he was born that they were back in the room asking us if we were ready to cut the cord.
Mm-hmm.
And like those most precious moments, I don't have a ton of memory of like that 30 minutes that we got undisturbed. Most of my memory was being in the tub, birthing the placenta, and then them coming back in to want to cut the cord and get their
Mm-hmm.
tasks completed.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's of course always more to say, but that's the birth story in a
Mm.
nutshell, also expanded in different regions.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And what did you do with his placenta?
See that behind me? That's a
Um,
print of his placenta. I had it printed.
oh yes, I see.
Yeah, made a pretty print. I
Beautiful.
had her do everything with it. I
Mm-hmm.
had some of it put into capsules. I had some of it steamed and some of it raw,
Mm-hmm.
frozen. And then I
Mm-hmm.
had a tincture made and the print and the cord was dried.
Oh,
So I did all the things and I did feel called to take the capsules and I did feel amazing after taking them. Like my energy, like it was pretty incredible, honestly.
mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
zing that I felt from it, and the tincture now, like I'll take in my luteal phase, and I love
Yeah.
taking it. I thank her all the time.
Yes.
um, so we've done a little burial with parts that were frozen. I never ended up doing the steamed. Those
Mm-hmm.
I just buried, and I have just a little bit of the frozen bits left too
Mm,
in case we move, want to
beautiful.
bury it on the new land.
Yeah, yeah. And I know our time is coming to a close, but
Is it already?
well, of the window we'd planned, and I don't want to, yeah, want to respect your time. But is there anything else you'd like to share about new motherhood or nursing or anything there?
Mm. Well, I would send people actually to my podcast because I did a whole episode on our breastfeeding journey because there's a lot to say
Hmm.
there.
Okay.
Um,
Do you remember which episode it is? I can link it in the show
I
notes.
think it was 35,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, 35 or 37, 30, somewhere in the high 30s.
Okay.
Um, because yeah, I go into our whole story there. And then as far as motherhood goes, you know, gosh, it's like I very much know and believe that that little babe is like absolutely a part of my auric field. He's 2 years old,
Hmm.
like very much
Yeah.
he still is. And that birth imprint matters, but so does that 2 years, up to 7 years of his life is
Yes.
incredibly important. The way he's being treated and the way he's invited into the world, and like my energetic sphere is so important.
Hmm.
So, it's been all of the things. Like I have had this amazing community of support, both online and in person, like very much in person. My partner, he and I have our issues, but he is also
Hmm.
an incredible father, and he does the things I ask him to do so that I can be supported too. So, I mean, that's a win. But like the amount of creativity and desire to birth other things and to like serve is so profound in me. And I hear so many new moms talk about this as well. Like
Hmm.
I started down the road of, okay, I'm going to work in birth now, just being a couple months postpartum. Like I joined
Wow.
his mentorship. So I
Yeah.
was like a new baby, also like, I am doing this and like so lit up and so soul passion. And it's like finding that balance. My whole reason for bringing this up is just talking about that balance of
Hmm.
honoring myself, honoring
Hmm.
my soul, honoring my heart, honoring my passion, honoring the gifts that I have to give, like my service to the world, while also being like fully committed to being fully present with my child
Yes.
in these critical times. It's not easy. And
No.
we're not supposed to do it alone. We're
Hmm.
absolutely not. And like I don't believe in this whole martyr mama. I just am not. I'm not on board for that.
Hmm.
Um, I really believe that our life is because of the what our choices that we make, and the
Hmm.
people we surround ourselves with, and we get to create the life that we want. So, I'm doing my best to create a supportive world where I can do the things that I feel that I need to do so that I am not being swallowed up, lost, or forgotten, in this process of being a new mom while also being present for him. So it's a
Yeah.
dance. It's a dance.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm so glad that you are putting your voice to that because it is
Mhm.
so important.
Yeah.
And this time when they're little is fleeting, even like it
So fleeting.
passes so quickly.
Yeah.
And I can relate to feeling like I have, yeah, things to share with the world and work that I want to do with the world, but then also really wanting to cherish and savor this time with my children as they're young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we still co-sleep, like he's
Yeah.
nowhere near, and I don't want him to either. Like I
Yeah.
love snuggling with my little babe at night. It means everything.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories here. And I would love for you to share with everyone about your podcast, the name, and your website and your offerings in the world.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share. So my website is birthadvocate.me, M-E, and you can pretty much find everything there, but I do spend probably the most time on Instagram, where you can find me at birth.advocate. I also have a Facebook, The Birth Advocate, but I don't do anything with that. My podcast, you can find it on Spotify and iTunes. It's called Soul Evolution, Embodied Women's Wisdom, Birth Stories, and More. And man, what a journey it's been. I'm 40 episodes deep. I'm recording for season 3 right now. And I'm so in awe of the whole process. It's my second little baby. I love
Mhm.
it so much. Of course, it doesn't make me any money, but it's a labor of love. I absolutely love it. And I do
Absolutely.
all of the editing and everything myself. And yeah, it's something really special. But what I'm working on right now and why I'm actually pausing the podcast is because I'm
Hmm.
creating my course, the natural birth course. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet.
Hmm.
Basically, it is for the woman who whispers, I want to have a home birth. Or maybe she's always known she wants to have a home birth, but just doesn't have the information she feels she needs to like jump into it all the way. So
Hmm.
it's an incredible journey. It's like writing a book. It's like having a
Yeah.
baby. Yeah, it's a big deal. And I've given myself full permission to let it unfold as it is meant to. I'm not rushing it. Like I want it to be ready, you know, I want it to be
Yeah.
birthed in its own time, but I do have a hope, I do have a goal for it being ready by the new year.
Okay.
Um, but it's gonna be something special. I'm pretty stoked
Beautiful.
about it. Yeah, so that's where you can find me. And again, Amana, I really appreciate your time and holding space for me to tell my story again. I didn't know I
Yeah.
would be so talky, but
It's
I
all
didn't have any
good.
trouble.
It's a pleasure and an honor, and I'm also excited to share stories on your podcast. Before we go, I have two final questions. What does soul mean to you, and how did you choose the name Soul Evolution as
Mm.
part of the name of your podcast?
Oh my gosh. So soul means to me the essence. You know, it's the essence of this being that I am, that you are. It's the refined down. It's also ineffable. It's also a mystery. It's also like not to be named and made a definition of. Um, but it is just the essence of what I am and what you are.
Yeah.
And every rock and every tree,
Yes.
as
Yes.
Pocahontas would say. Um, and yeah, soul evolution is it's just trying to put a name to this experience we have as human
Mhm.
beings in Earth School, right? Like,
Yeah.
and also trying to take the weight from the ego like off of us a bit and just like reminding us that we are a soul in a body, that we are a vessel for this incredible life force, that we have rites of passage that we go through that mold and shape and form us and inform us. And yeah, I kind of love the name because it is a little mysterious
Yeah.
and it's all about humility for me because it's an evolution in its own right. Like I think I said that in the intro episode. Like I'm
Totally.
naming this soul evolution because it's probably going to be an evolution. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's
I
how I
love
see it.
that.
I love the
Wonderful.
name of yours too, The Heart of the Soul. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in and choosing to spend time with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of The Heart of the Soul. I would truly appreciate if you might choose to leave a rating, review, or share the show with someone that you know. You can support this podcast by donating to it using the PayPal or Venmo links. If you have stories that you would like to share on the Heart of the Soul, please send me an email through my website. I would love to hear from you. If you would like to work with me, I have both one-on-one and group offerings online and in person. Find out more on my website, birthingnova.love. If you're listening on Spotify, you can now even send me a voice message. Until next time, remember, be brave, be love, be wild, be you because you are the only you, and be the change that you seek for yourself and for the generations to come. Sending each of you so much love. Love, love, love. Mwah.